Welcome back to the dramatic reading of Celebrian, Part 7. I am undrugged this time. I am clear-headed, unfortunately. This is sexual content beyond the norm. Children are not accepted in this circle. Turn back if you are under 18. When we last left Celebrian, poor elf child thing, not child, God no, not child, she had been assaulted by dildos. So let's see what happens next. I know you're just riveted and standing on the edge of your seat. I'm in a good mood, which I'm about to get in a very bad mood after reading this. So let's get started, shall we? When the door opened next, she expected a summons to the king so that he could resume the assault on her ass, this time with guarantee of its success. The thought of the king's ministrations filled her, bad choice of words, with both loathing and anticipation. But the orc shoved a body through the door instead. Oh, that's nice. Thank you for my body. I appreciate that. The figure fell to the ground, clutching his arms to his chest. Beneath caked mud and blood, she caught the glint of silver hair and the curve of an elvish ear. Aren't elvish ears usually, like, pointy? That's why they're elvish, you know. Curves don't usually go with elves. She did not move to the man at first, but in time, his pitiful, semi-conscious moans, bad choice of words, drew her to his side. She rolled him onto his back and started. Whoa, what did she start? His face was battered, his lips were cut, and his front teeth were missing, but the shock was that his hands were cut off at the wrists. Oh, dear. She nursed him, oh, bad choice of words, through several visits by the oak gods. These visits brought no summons to the king or further dildos, but rags for the man's wounds and water and food for nourishment. In the days before he regained full lucidity, she had time to turn her thoughts again to rescue. I would have been thinking of rescue like every second. She recognized the elf as I hate elf names. Ithalond? I'm going to call him Ithalond. From Rivendell. And had she had any doubt that Elrond still sought her, the elf's babbling, during which he spoke of searching, and Elrond's fear for his wife, dispelled it. What type of wife will he find? She thought. She should take her life and the life of this cripple. Neither of them would end well at the hands of the orcs. She knew it was only for some nefarious purpose that they put him in here with her. But she could not bring herself to strangle the poor warrior who had risked all to find her. She did remove the dildo from her ass and hid it in the slop bucket. That's good. No need to bring shame upon you, right? She awoke to the sound of her name. "Celebrian," said a weak, hoarse voice. It was her handless companion in her cell. Well, who else would it be? "Yes, Ithalond," she said, keeping her gaze averted from... From what? It doesn't say. No! "I have found you," he said weakly. "Oh, what have they done to me?" he said as he realized the source of the pains in his arms. He began to cry. Poor Ithalond. Poor, handless Ithalond. Okay, back to the story. Though shamed by her degradation, Celebrian could help but comfort the once proud warrior. She took him into her arms and rocked him. How motherly. In time he regained his composure. No matter what no matter what they have done to me, my lady, or even to you, he said with hesitation, Elrond will find us and make things go well. He stops at nothing in his research for you. Celebrian began to sob. "No, my lady, do not cry. It matters not what has happened, only that you will soon be free. Whee! They can sully your body, but not your heart." Celebrian continued to cry. Oh, shut up, woman. God, he's trying to console you. Okay, whatever. When the door next opened... God, I hate this story. Grammar. Learn it. They took her from the cell and left Ithalond behind. Good riddance. She retraced the path to the king's chamber. The orcs, male and female, leered and jeered at her as before, but this time she noticed many wounded and maimed orcs as well. They had been fighting. Her husband was drawing near. Perhaps there was an end in sight. She allowed herself some small hope. She was still in her gown and boots when she was forced to kneel before the Orc King. He focused her mind on her hope and tried to forget the terrible draught they would soon force down her throat. But the draught never came. An hour or more passed. The king attended to various matters of guard postings and reports of elves. She heard orcs come and go behind. She heard things being dragged into the room behind her, but did not turn to see. Her hope grew as she listened to the reports of encounters with her husband's warriors. "Celebrian, your husband harries my guards, but know that he can never reach you. My lair is protected by an impenetrable, bad word, maze," said the king. Celebrian knew that he lied. "But hope if you wish. Hope all you want, as long as you do your duty." What was he thinking, she wondered. Had he not forced the draught on her? Had he forgotten? Wait, what? Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Wow. He had not forced the draught on her. Had he forgotten? Or could he really believe her would pleasure? God, I can't read this grammar. My God, it's horrible. It's horrendous. It's like when the story meets an English teacher. The English teacher will die from exposure to this story. Oh my God. Okay, calm down, breathe. Let's try that again. Or could he really believe her would pleasure him without its fire in her belly? She looked into his thick, pig-like face. She could not read his beady eyes, but it did not matter. She was in command of herself. "Your companion, how do you find him?" he asked. "Oh, well, thank you for asking. Actually, he's handless." No, it's not really what she says. She says, "If," she said, almost speaking his name, "you have treated him cruelly." "He is but a work in progress. Next time he loses his feet." At a poor attempt at humor, I suppose, in this story. I'm not quite sure. She gasped. Okay. "Then his cock, but not his balls. His balls can remind him of his lost manhood. Then the nose comes off, followed by the ears. Teeth next, and tongue, though perhaps I will leave that for your use," he said with a sneer. "Oh yes, in my head, tongue in my ears." "No, your ears you keep." Oh, that's only reminding me of what I could be watching. It was too much. Her mind started to blacken. How could this happen to a great warrior, a warrior who had risked all to rescue her? "But of course you can, perhaps, delay his torment. Maybe even prevent it. It is in your power." A flush of anger tinted her cheeks. The checks again? Seriously. A flush of anger tinted her checks. Her checks are angry. They bounced. Of course, she thought, he means to force through this threat. She would be strong. The poor warrior was dead anyhow. "You would not help your fellow elf," said the king, noticing her resolve. "How like an orc." She felt a sting at that. How like an orc. Indeed, it was heartless like an orc, but could she do otherwise? She recalled cradling Ithalon through his delirium and after in his fear. He was helpless. She alone could aid the maimed warrior. Very well, she thought, what does it matter? I have done it before for my own pleasure. Now I do it for a greater cause. Keep telling yourself that, honey. She knelt before the king and reached for his chicken beneath his loincloth. "No, bitch, you know the rules. Name thyself." She stared at the cruel king. Then slowly and deliberately she named herself. Chicken sucker, Nerf ball licker, cum drinker, chicken lover, king's sheath, dick sucker. With each name the king's chicken twitched beneath its loincloth. Soon the warty member protruded free of the cloth. She shuddered at what she must do with the thing, but her nipples also hardened and her pussy grew wet. Odd, cats don't usually like getting wet. The king nodded to her. She reached her hands to his chicken and felt his warts in her grip. She stroked slowly up and down the shaft for a time, bringing the rod to its full length and hardness. She bobbed forward and extended her tongue to the head of the shaft. She worked her tongue round the glands and opened her mouth to take in the pulsing chicken. Desperately she began to work up and down the great shaft. And we're going to stop there, because my English is becoming slurred, because I cannot read this story.